the patch notes. So what I can do is I can read them out loud. If you want to read them off your own bat, or I can just go through it out loud. You guys on stream. We don't really need to have any music or anything because we're vibing. But I can just go top to bottom. So you can have it like a podcast, I guess, as well. So let me get my voice ready. This is going to be dope. Alright. Alright, I'll go through everything top to bottom, guys. I'll read it word for word. And then we can address everything accordingly. So you can see the patch notes for yourself anyway, which is cool ski. And we will go through them. Exactly. So, Path of Exile 2, The Last of the Druids. Just a bit of a quick breakdown. We got a new Druid class, 21 new skills, 30 new support gems. We got a wolf, we got a bear, we got a wyvern. We got 2 ascendancies to choose from, Shaman and the Oracle. The whole new league is Fate of the Val. You can build your own dungeon and make it easy as you want, as hard as you want. You get better drops. We got new crafting mechanics, which is insane, which we've gone over. We got 1 brand new pinnacle boss. We got 11 new unique items, so chase items. Abyss to core, another new system. Waystone crafting system has changed. And then we got rebalanced uniques and skills. And uniques we can re-roll to change the stats. So, Fate of the Val League. Start fresh in a new economy with the Fate of the Val League. All of your old characters from early access are still present in your early access leagues, but a free passive tree refund has been granted due to the changes. Hold on a minute. Oh, so it's just a free refund. Okay. We would highly encourage you to join the new leagues to fully take in the changes we've made in the 0.40 update. In the Fate of the Val League, you will find remnants of the ancient Val civilization scattered throughout Rayclast. Now that the corruption has returned to the land, the long-dead Val structures throughout Rayclast are activating and affecting nearby creatures. Sacrifice the afflicted monsters to power the devices and travel to Lyra Val, the ancient temple of Atziri. Gather enough power to modify the temple and create your desired layout. Each room in the temple offers great rewards, from the stashes of currency and equipment to something more interesting. Placing rooms to the other rooms that will benefit them will level up. Adding new challenges and rewards to find out. Complete more beacons to get more energy to fuel more additions to the temple. Explore the Queen of the Val's opulent temple during the height of the power in the capital of the ancient empire. With the power of the beast, Atziri plans to risk her entire civilization in pursuit of eternal youth. Can she be stopped? Yes, we can. I just added that bit extra. Her royal architect and devoted followers will work against you, but perhaps in the past is not set in stone. There are standard, hardcore, solo self-found variations of the Fate of the Val League available. They have the same core mechanics and items. You can create private league versions of these leagues. Okie dokie. So, this is we're coming to the exciting parts in a minute. Abyss as a core mechanic. Abyss has been added to the core game. You can find Abyss encounters in a specific campaign areas, starting in Act 2. Abyss encounters have been added to endgame, as well as Abyss tablets related modifiers. Added an Atlas passive tree for Rise of the Abyssal content. So we got a passive tree that's brand new for the Abyssal content directly now, which is godlike. Preserved vertebrae no longer drop, just as a little heads up. Updated the Well of Souls quest to account for the fact that abysses no longer spawn in all campaign areas. So Abyssal is a little bit back with the Well of Souls. Vertebrae has been fully removed, but we've still got Abyssals to do. General improvements. Significant optimizations to CPU performance have been made. Hurrah! Win for everybody. These changes both improve the speed of the key operations and allow us to utilize more of your CPU cores, resulting in higher frame rates overall. You should get at least 25% boost and significantly less frame spikes when CPU bound. This is especially impactful for heavy gameplay situations. Note that if you are using GPU bound, you will not see any improvement to these changes or from these changes. When GPU bound, lowering render resolution or using dynamic resolution will improve your performance. So lower your render resolution and use dynamic resolution, that will improve your performance. Okay, so player changes. Tailwind now grants 1% increased movement speed, 2% increased skill speed, previously 3, so that's a little bit of a nerf. 10% increased evasion rating, previously 15, a little bit of a nerf. And prevents 1% of damage deflected hits per stack. So slight nerf for Tailwind. Base unarmed attacks now... Base unarmed attack time is 1.65 seconds. So that build that I'm playing actually got buffed. Previously is 1.4. Yeah, buddy. Modifiers to the number of enemies required to be considered by surrounded can no longer reduce the required number of enemies below 1. So that's basically that Viper cap. That Viper cap might have been changed, so it's not going to work as it used to. That's crazy. Okay, so Rage Regeneration now pauses rage decays similarly to other means of gaining rage, meaning that your rage will never decay while it's regenerated. That's godlike. Wind Ward. So yeah, basically, well, Tailwind's got changed. In regards to Wind Ward, it's mainly to do with the Viper cap being like, people call the Viper cap like OP and broken. So they've changed it so to be surrounded, you can no longer reduce the required number of enemies below 1, which is a bit intricate. So we'll see when it's tested. But that's what it says on here in the notes anyway. Rage we've gone through as well. So oh yeah, so Rage Regeneration now pauses rage decay, similarly to other means of gaining rage. This means that your rage will never decay while it's regenerating. All rage spending costs have been changed to 10 rage. Rage no longer causes a visual effect on your character until you have 10 or more rage, so that you know when you can use these abilities. That's godlike. Physical damage reduction from armor can no longer cause a hit to deal 0 damage. This is mostly targeted at preventing cases where multi-team players could deal 0 damage to armored monsters at very low levels. That's covered. You know, we said intangibility. So that's basically not a thing anymore, which is awesome. In these cases, the hit will now deal 1 damage instead of 0. Igniting aura effects, including Igniting Ground, no longer apply infinite ignites. Instead, they apply regular ignites with standard duration and will reappear them after they expire next time. The aura applies flammability to that target, the same as if Ignite had been removed from the target. So it sounds like funnily enough, friggin' fishers have been nerfed. You know, in regards to dropping fishers on the ground, like infinite ignites and stuff. It sounds like warriors, fishers got nerfed. Just saying. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. All skills granted by Ascendancy are now automatically activated when granted. Some previously required the player to manually activate them. Okay, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, so you mentioned Wind Ward as well. You did say Wind Ward. Yeah, Wind Ward has been removed. So yeah, totally right on that one. Bullseye now requires core shots. Bullseye now applies 10 critical weakness. Previously 5. So that is actually a buff. I've doubled. Added a new Mirage Deadeye Ascendancy passive skill, which grants a Mirage Deadeye meta skill. Mirage Deadeye, while active, firing a ranged projectile will create a Mirage that uses socketed range attacks for a short duration. When then vanishes, you cannot create another Mirage for a short time after initially creating one. So you can basically bring out a clone, shadow clone, a Mirage, which still seems like it could be strong overall. Pathfinder. Contagious Contamination has been removed. Practical Remedies has been removed. Running Assault now also grants cannot be heavy stunned while sprinting. So that stops you from getting knocked over and stunned a lot. Added a new Path Seeker multi-choice Ascendancy passive skill with the following choices. Path of the Warrior can allocate passives from the Warrior's starting point. Path of the Sorceress can allocate paths from the Sorceress starting point. Each choice also grants 4 passive skill points. So you can choose where you want to have the start points now, so you can add more to the builds or add more stuff overall. Traveler's Wisdom now requires Path Seeker. Traveler's Wisdom now instead grants attributes, passive skills, offer additional options, 5% increased damage, 5% increased global defensives, and 5% increased cost efficiency. Amazon. Elemental Surge reworked. Fine by me. Grant skill Elemental Surge. Let's go. Oh. Let's go. Now provides when you consume a charge, trigger Elemental Surge to gain 3 lightning surges. Yeah, buddy. Surging Avatar reworked. Now provides you when you consume a charge, trigger Elemental Surge to gain 2 cold, lightning, and fire surges. That's kind of fire, pun intended. That's dope. Ritualist Sacrifice Stolen modifier duration is 82 to 120 seconds from gem level 1 to 20. Previously it was 15 to 19 to 7.75. Quality is now plus 20 seconds to stolen modifier duration, previously plus 2. So that looks like a buff as well. Corrupted Life Force also now has you deal 15% more damage to enemies affected by Blood Boil. So that's 15% more damage increase. Okay, Warbringer Titan, Smith of Kitava. Imploding Impacts now also grants fully broken armor you inflict, increases all damage taken from hits instead. So that sounds like a nice buff right there. The Ancestral Warhorn minion summoned by Warbringer's answered call notable. Now more consistently hits close-up enemies with second part of its slam attack. That's a buff right there. Titan, Surprising Strength has been removed. Oof. Crushing Impacts also now grant 25% more damage against heavy stunned enemies. So 25% increased damage, more damage against heavy stunned is great. Added a new Mountain Splitter Ascendancy passive skill, which grants every third slam skill that doesn't create fissures, which you can use yourself, causes 1 additional aftershock ahead and on each side of the initial area, requires Crushing Impact. So that's new AoE skill sort of basically. That's kind of godlike. Smith of Kitava. Ooh, let's have a look at a few of these. So yeah, each notable connected to the Smith's Masterwork notable now grants plus 200 armor in addition to its other bonuses. Fucking hell. Each notable connected 200 armor. Godlike. Padded plates has been removed. Lead lining has been removed. Heavy bracing has been removed. Added Kitavan imprint in place of padded plates, which causes your body armor to grant 60% increased glory generation. Huge if you want to go for glory damage, and that's generation. Godlike. Added spiked plates in place of lead lightning, which causes your body armor to grant 100% increased thorns damage. So if you're going for a thorns build, godlike. Added tribute to you 2-lane in place of heavy bracing, which causes your body armor to grant 30% increased spirit. Ooh, so you could basically do some spirit builds with that. That's pretty godlike. Internal layer now reduces critical damage taken by 100%, previously 50%. Internal layer reduces crit damage by 100%. That's a 50% buff. That's huge. Damage reduction again, even more tanky. Heat proofing now causes your body armor to grant the bonus of being unaffected by all damaging ailments. Previously just ignite. So again, more defensives. Fucking hell. You got hella buffed. The fire spell on melee hit granted by the heat of the forge on Smith Kitava now costs no mana. The fire spell on melee hit costs no mana when triggering a socketed spell. It also now gains 10% increased damage per level, up to 200% increased damage at level 20. Dude, they definitely put some. I told you, man, once we've done Druid, if I don't find another blaster build after that, I'm definitely doing a Kitava build, man. These boss are insane. The Tepma weapon skill granted by against the anvil of the Smith of Kitava now costs no mana. The combos triggered by its empowered attacks now deal 25% more damage at all levels and has a base radius of 3 meters. Previously 2.5 meters, so that's a 0.5 meter buff. The manifest weapon skill granted by living weapon on Smith of Kitava now changes target less frequently, thus spends more time actively attacking additionally. Godlike. Yeah, hella buffs, dude. As a mace, now has a cooldown of 6 seconds from 10 seconds. Awesome. From its slam skill. As a quarterstaff, now has a cooldown of 6 seconds from 10 seconds on its sweep skill. As a spear, fixed a bug with the damage dealt while it was dashing towards enemies. Didn't cover the full distance of the dash. So they fixed a bug on it basically. Okay. Infernalist. Seething Body no longer grants, while on high Infernal Flame, you and your allies in your presence gain 50% of damage as fire damage. Buff. Hold on. You and your allies in your presence gain 50% of damage as fire damage. That's a hella buff, dude. Seething Body now grants gain Elemental or Archon when you cast a spell while in high Infernal Flame. Oh, so for the caster. Archons are normally for like cast speed and stuff like that as well. When you cast a spell while high Infernal Flame, cast a spell while on high Infernal Flame. Yeah. So that's demon form stuff basically. Elemental Archon does not expire while on high Infernal Flame. Lose Elemental Archon on reaching maximum Infernal Flame. Beautiful. Hardly any changes. If anything, buffs for minions. Minions build, basically minions will be doing more fire damage, which is perfect for our build we're going to be doing as well. Blood Mage, Whispers of the Flesh, now also grants targets cursed by you have 100% reduced life regeneration rate. Oh, it's just a passive. Yo, Blood Mage, no really any changes, so Blood Mage is already header strong, so nothing's really changed there. Stormweaver, Refracted Infusion now grants, when collecting Elemental Infusion, gain another different Elemental Infusion, previously 50% chance. Okay, so that's buffed to like guaranteed. Storm's Recollection now also grants Remnants, can be collected 50% from further away. Pretty awesome. Multiplying Squalls now grant +2 to limit of Elemental skills, previously 1, so that's a buff. Stormweaver's been buffed a little bit. Chronomancer, Inevitable Agony granted by Inevitability has been updated. Now ignores the curse limit, so there's no limit. Now causes cursed targets to take 50% of hit damage dealt to them while cursed again, and when the curse expires, previously 20% at gem level 1, scaling to 33 by gem level 20. Gemling Legionnaire, Thaumaturgical Infusion now grants 1% to maximum cold resistance per 3 blue support gems socketed, previously 4. So that's a buff. 1% maximum fire resistance per thread. 3 red support socketed gems, previously 4. So you need to socket 3 now. A 1% maximum lightning resistance per 3 green support gems socketed, previously 4 as well. Thaumaturgical Daimonism granted by Advanced Thaumaturgy Notable Passive Skill. Now generates a charge once every 5 seconds. Previously was 8. So another nice buff. Tactician, the Sporting Fire skill granted by Unleash Hell. Notable passive skill has been updated. Command, Death from Above cooldown is now 20 seconds. Previously it was 40, so that's a nice buff. Cooldown is a lot quicker, 20 seconds. Now fires a volley every 0.75 seconds. Previously was every 2 seconds. So that Tactician for that cannon is going to do way more DPS quicker now as well. Now fires 6 total volleys, previously 4. Sheesh, the Tactician's got some nice buffs, man. Now has 14 meter width, previously 7.5. Attack damage is now 763%. Oh, so that got nerfed. The actual overall damage got nerfed from it, but the rest of it got buffed. Previously it was 1140%. Now it's going to be reduced to 763%. Strategic Embankment's notable passive skill has been updated. Artillery Ballista no longer grants 40% increased immobilization build-up. Now grants 20% increased skill speed. So you won't be able to pin things as high. You'll have to like just use your skill speed a bit more. Siege Ballista no longer grants 50% increased damage against immobile enemies. Now grants 25% more damage against immobilized enemies. So nerf. Mortar Cannon now grants 25% of damage, gains extra fire damage from 15%, that's a slight buff. Added Spell Totem damage to Embankment Auras. Spell Totem grants 50% increased critical hit chance. So Tactician, some areas been slightly buffed, but it has got quite a few nerfs right there. Witch Hunter, Witchbane now has enemies having a maximum concentration equal to 30% of their maximum life, previously 40%. This is a buff. Ceremonial Ablution now instead grants sorcery ward, also protects against physical and chaos damage, that's a buff, so that's godlike. Invoker and Protect Me from Harm now grants 35% less evasion rating, previously was 50%. Soul Springs Eternal now additional grants meta skills have 50% increased spirit reservation efficiency. Unbound Avatar skill granted by an I Shall Rage has been updated. Now has a cooldown of 12 seconds. Gain Unbound Fury when you flicked elemental ailment on hit with the enemy. No longer has no more than once every 0.2 seconds for each type of ailment. Shocking and Igniting now grant 1 Unbound Fury, previously was 2. Okay. Acolyte of Chayula. Embrace the Darkness now gives 10% to maximum darkness per level, previously 8, slight buff. Into Breach skill granted by Walking Dream Red Flames now leech 15% of life, previously was 7. I'm just going to read these quicker because it's just the same repeated thing. So, Breach skill granted by Waking Dream. Blue Flame now leech 15% mana was previously 7. Yeah, exactly, dude, exactly. Lot of buffs overall. Into the Breach skill granted by Waking Dream. Purple Flames now lasts 8 seconds, previously 5 seconds. Into Breach skill granted by Waking Dreams. Flames are now created closer to the player. Awesome. Choice of the power, choice of life, choice of mana now also grant 50% increased effective remnants, 50% increase of remnant pickup range. The Void Illusion skill granted by Grasp of the Void now has a cooldown of 4 seconds at all gem levels. Previously was 6 to 4 seconds. Void Illusion skill granted by Grasp of the Void now deals 350 to 1268%. Attack damage at gem levels 1 to 20. Previously it was at 185 to 670%. So that is a massive damage increase. The Void Illusion skill now granted by Grasp of the Void now has 3 cooldown charges, previously 1. And then we've got the passives as well. Sheesh, these are a lot of patch notes. We haven't even got halfway yet. I might have to get my jacket on for this one. Sheesh. Alright, so that is all the classes. I'm quickly just going to go over in my head realistically what's been changed. So basically the builds that I've made for this season and the last few seasons have not been changed, which is godlike. They've been buffed if anything. So we're eating good, personally. I'm just going to get my jacket. We'll change up the jacket. We'll get this one. So the current build I'm using now has not been changed. And obviously with some of the tweaks it might even be stronger. Yeah, buddy, it is, man. Definitely is. Notes for days out here. Notes for days. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to go through. So we'll go through them accordingly. So yeah, basically the minions build, I might re-release my minions build from patch 1, which has been buffed, hella buffed, which is good news. And then my new build hasn't been affected. It's actually been buffed that I was going to work on. The build I'm using right now looks like it's got not really much changes at all. If anything, it might have got a slight buff or two. And then my Blood Mage hasn't been affected. So we're good on the Blood Mage part again as well, which is godlike. So looks good to me. Alright, also, where do we get to? So, alright, so passive skill tree changes we're on right now. So with the addition of the Druid and new other game mechanics, we've added passive support for these throughout the passive skill tree. There are many new clusters, mostly in the Druid area of the tree, and many existing passives have been updated. These changes may result in your existing passive tree being forcibly refunded if you have allocated nodes around areas where the layout changed, which makes sense, obviously, if they've updated it. So basically added more than 250 new passive skills to the Druid side of the passive tree, which is insane. 250 passive skills. Crazy. The values on flammability, magnitude, and the passive tree have been increased massively. So you mentioned ignite, dude. That could be a good one for like ignite, flammability, and stuff. So that means the values have been increased massively. So that's huge right there. All instances of gaining flame, ice, and lightning archon have been changed to gain elemental archon to better support builds using multiple elements. Perfect. Archon related paths in the tree have been adjusted accordingly and condensed. Amazing. Hollow Palm Technique Keystone now grants 1% more attack speed per 75 item evasion rating on equipped armor. Previously was 25. Oh, so that actually is slightly less, isn't it? Per 75 item. Yeah, so that's actually a bit slower. So your attack speed will be reduced. But we're good because we got our attack speed hella like over capped anyway. So it's slightly decrease of attack speed if you are going. This is only on the armor though, on the armor items. So that's a bit of a change. Base unarmed attack time now. But remember I said to you before, they buffed the base attack time though. So they've counted it with the base. So like my base is already doing fast attack speed anyway. And don't forget, this is just the body armor. It's not the whole build. And I don't go for more evasion on the body armor. I go for energy shield. That's what we've scaled into. So this is what I'm saying. This won't affect the build that I've made already in any way, shape, or form. If anything, we get buffed because we get quicker attack speed off base. So we're good on that. Yeah, exactly. The Walker of the Wilds Keystone has been removed from the passive tree. Its effects have been moved to a newly added lineage support. Elemental Equilibrium Keystone now grants Cold Infusion Remnants. You create, instead of Fire Infusion Remnants. You create instead Lightning Infusion Remnants. You create instead Cold. The Crimson Assault Keystone passives now grant 50% more magnitude of bleeding you inflict. So any sort of bleed builds, buffed, Blood Mage, bleed build, hella buffed, that's a lot. 50% more magnitude as well, that's a lot. Passives that granted reduced movement speed penalty from using skills while moving the passive tree have had their values lowered. More passives in the tree now grant the stat to make up for some of this. Added 3 new attack area clusters to the monk part of the passive tree, so monk's got a few changes. Added 2 projectile speed clusters to the passive tree in the mercenary section, so some changes for the mercenary. Added new bow cluster and modified projectile cluster and range of the tree, granting surpassing chance to find additional arrow. So again, for any Deadeye sort of builds or bow builds, that could be slightly different than crossbow. Added a new cluster between witch and monk called Remnant Attraction. Principal Infusion now has remnants which can be collected 30% from further away. Previously it was 20%. So you can just claim you can just get your remnants from a bit further away, which is pretty awesome. The Grand Tribute notable from the Heart of the Will unique jewel. How has remnants that be collected 80% from further away if you have at least 100 tribute. Previously at 50%. So it's from heart, anything to do with the Heart of the Will. So the remnants can be collected further away basically. Small nodes on the passive tree that grant remnant pickup range now grant remnants can be collected from 20% further away, so you can get them further away in general. Small node in the ascendies that grant remnant pickup range grants remnants can be collected 25 years. So that's those again, just repeating the same thing, just saying you can pick up the basically from just further away, 5% increase from that. So the last one, small nodes and ascendancies that grants remnant pickup range. Now grant remnants can be collected from 25% further away. The small passive connected to the invigorating grandeur and everlasting glory notables now grant 20% increased presence of an area of effect instead of skills chance not to consume glory. The power notable no longer grants 2% increased lightning damage per intelligence. Instead it now grants 10% more maximum lightning damage. That's pretty cool. The Wildstorm no longer grants 50% more maximum lightning damage. It now instead grants gain 4% of damage as extra lightning damage, gain 4% of damage as extra cold damage, and 10 to dexterity. So it's more, instead of going for flat pure lightning, it spread it out for like you get more modifiers and you get 10 decks as well, which is pretty dope. Rename Tandem Assault passive tree node to Hunting Companion with no change to functionality. So it's just a name change, nothing's been changed on that. And then change the stats on several small passive tree nodes around the Inspiring Ally, Hunting Companion, Sikkim, and Nourishing All Ally nodes. Companion cluster small passive nodes now generally no longer grant both companions deal increased damage and increased damage while your companion is in your presence. So it's on the far right of the tree, I believe, top of my head. They don't grant both companions deal increased damage and increased damage. So you can't double stack those anymore. So that's a bit of a nerf to any basically any builds which use companions in that area and use double dipping. So they basically kind of fixed it really. Gem changes. Crescendo 1, 2, and 3 are now intelligent sport gems, previously dexterity. Perpetual charge is now intelligent sport gem, previously dexterity. So basically they've changed a lot of sport gems from intelligence to dex, and they've changed a few around. Interesting. So Perpetual Change is now Intelligent Sport Gem, previously Dex. Mark for Death is now Strength Sport Gem, previously Dex. Gamble Shot is now an Intelligent Sport Gem, previously Dex. Bramble Slam is now Strength Sport Gem, previously Dex. Disabled Font of the Rage. Disabled Font of the Rage Support Gem. Disabled Ricochet 3 Support Gem. So those have been removed. Interesting. Inevitable Critical Sport has now been renamed to Inexorable Critical Sport 1. Interesting. World Drop Lineage supports are now less common overall. Specific lineage supports have been adjusted relative to others. Atalui's Bloodletting lineage support now grants 2% extra physical damage per 20 life. Previously it was per 10 life, so that cost has gone up. So it's gonna cost a lot more life in general. Up to 40%, and no longer has a cost multiplier. Ooh, so definitely some big changes to Atalui's right there. Cost multiplier. So it no longer has a cost multiplier. Zofspire now grants supported skills. Gain 40% of fire damage as extra cast damage. Previously 20, so that got buffed. Eshi's Radiance now grants supported skills, gain 40% of lightning damage as extra cast damage. Previously 20%, that got buffed. Tool Stillness now grants supported skills, gain 40% of cold damage as extra cast damage. Previously 20%. All Nettles Embrace now grants supported skills, gain 40% of physical damage as extra cast damage. Previously 20%, buffed again. Einhar's B-Strike now grants Killing Blow supported from supported strike skills against rare monsters. Grant 2 of their modifiers for 5 minutes. Previously 40 seconds. Yo. That's basically insane. That's basically like a headhunter. That lasts for 5 minutes. So you get buffs for 5 minutes. That's insane. Zarok's Refrain now grants supported spell echoes 3 times. Previously was 2. So that's a buff. And now grants echoes from supported spell skills have 40% increased of area effect. Ulric's Smelting now grants fully breaking on with supported skills, causing affected targets take permanently 5% increased physical damage, up to 20%. Previously it was 2%, up to 20%, which is a buff. So Ulric's Smelting got a nice buff right there. Vilenta's Propulsion now grants 75% increase of reductions to cast speed. Also applies to projectile speed for supported skills. Previously 50%. That's godlike. On Citadel no longer has supported skills. Has 30% less area effect, or supported skills deal 30% less damage with hits. So you know that Titan Warrior build I showed you with the shield and doing that tech where he blows the screen up? That's actually got buffed. Fucking insane. Awesome. Tekrod's Revenge. So basically you get on Citadel with none of the weaknesses. You get the buffs, but you don't really have any weaknesses, which is insane. Tekrod's Revenge now grants minions supported skills die 20 seconds after their life is reduced to 0. Previously 10 seconds, which is a massive buff again. And minions from supported skills gain 40% increased attack and cast speed, while when their life is reduced to 0, previously 20%. So that's a buff. Minions got hella buffs, man. Minions got hella buffs. I did say earlier as well. Rig Walls for Ferocity, now supported skills have 30% increased attack speed if used in weapons at 1, previously 20%. Yo, Rig Walls for Ferocity got buffed 10% as well. And the negatives, that's crazy. Wrath of the Assault now grants supported skills, loads 5 bolts when you dodge, previously 3, nice buff. Supported skill loads 4 additional bolts, previously 3. Wrath of the Assault has supported skills of 20% increased attack speed. Argent's Medal now grants a 100% chance to load a bolt into crossbow skills on dealing a killing blow with supported skills, previously 35%. So Argent's Medal got hella buffs, 100% chance. Calm's Madness now grants supported skills, deals 20% less damage, previously 40%. That got nerfed. Torho's Tending now grants totems created by supported skills have 25% more life, previously 50%. That's nerfed. And now Torho's Vengeance Explosion deals base physical damage equal to 20% of totem's maximum life, previously 10%. Oh, so it's they basically reduce the life, but they're giving you more damage to try and make a balance. At Zeri's Allure, supported skills now have 20% less curse effect, previously 25%. Garu Khan's Resolve now grants maximum critical hit chance with supported skills is 50%. Also, no longer grants supported skills become unusable after you have moved 20 meters. Supported skills become unusable again after use. Kurgul's Leash now grants gain Unholy Might for 15 seconds on commanding minions from sporting skills, previously 5 seconds. And now grants minions from supported skills gain Unholy Might 15 seconds when commanded, previously 5 seconds. So that's like a nice little change of a buff right there. Arakali's Lust now grants supported skills deal 8% more damage with hits for each poison enemy, up to 40%. Previously was 6%, up to 30%. So that got buffed. Tacti's Aya now has poisons from supported skills deal 2% faster per rage, previously 1%, so a buff. A-list Chimes now grant 25% chance to gain power charge when expending a combo with sport skills per combo expended. This can exceed 100%. I actually use A-list Chimes. That's actually a buff. So we got a nice buff again for our build. We got extra speed in our build, and we've actually got another buff for A-list Chimes. So beautiful. Arbiter's Ignition now has 100% chance to gain Elemental Archon on igniting an enemy with supported skills. Previously it was 20% chance to gain Flame Archon, so that's a beautiful buff, 100% guaranteed. Nova Projectiles no longer cause supported skills gain 4 additional projectile supported skills. Now deal 40% less damage. That is actually a nerf to our build that we're currently using. However, it's not, because we don't go off damage off the hits. We actually do bleed damage. I did poison in the build now as well. So that's not really going to do too much for our build, negative. It's not going to buff, but it's not really a negative either for the build we're currently using. Added Nova Projectiles 2, causing supported skills to gain 6 additional projectiles, deal 50% less damage, and applying a cooldown of 8 seconds to supported skills. So that's a bit of a nerf for anyone using Nova Projectiles 2. Piety's Mercy renamed to Dominus Grasp, so no changes. Oh, so it has been changed slightly. Dominus Grasp now instead grants supported skills change 100% more times. Okay, so you can use that for your Blood Mage extra tech. I did talk about that on stream before, so that's pretty cool. Chain 1 support no longer grants supported skill change 100% more times. Now grants supported skills deal 30% less damage with hits, previously 50%. So that got nerfed. Chain 2 support no longer grants supported skill chain. Now grants supported skill chain does +2 times, previously 1. Now grants supported skills deal 50% less damage with hits, previously 40%. So what they've done is they've taken like 1 or 2 elements away and they've nerfed something, so they've just made it a bit more balanced. Chain 3 support no longer grants supported skills chain 200 times. Now grants supported skills now grants supported skills chain plus 2 times. Culmination support, more damage per combo, has a cap of 20 combo. Culmination support, more damage per combo, now has a cap of 20. Now grant supported skills do 2% more damage per combo, previously 3%, so that is a bit of a nerf. Stormfire support now causes enemies shot by supported skills take a percentage of ignites damage as lightning damage as well as fire damage. Previously shot from supported skills do not expire on ignited enemies. Okay. Living Lightning, interesting because we use this for the Blood Beige and it's a skill I really do like. So Living Lightning attacks now deal the same amount of damage for each hit in the chain. Previously erroneously dealing less damage per subsequent hit in the chain. He fucking got buffed. Let's fucking go. Living Lightning 2 now has a cooldown. So our Blood Mage got build as well. Our Blood Mage build got buffed as well. Living Lightning 2 now has a cooldown of 8 seconds, previously 5, which is actually slightly longer. We are using Lightning 2. However, the 3 seconds difference not going to make much of a difference since we stack it. So we're chilling on there. Exactly. Some great changes, boys. Enraged Warcry and Rage Forge supports are now treated as spending as Rage. Okay, so that class is spending Rage. Upheaval and Branching Fissure supports are no longer restricted to melee attacks. They can now support any skill which creates fissures. Beautiful. So Upheaval and Branching Fissure supports, you can add them to like any skills now, guys. Godlike. Impact Shockwave support now actually makes aftershocks, allowing interaction with aftershock specific area and damage modifiers. Previously it was a variant of melee splash which did not benefit from those. This allows a strike to cause both an impact shockwave aftershock with a melee splash from the same hit. Impact Shockwave can now support non-strike wind attacks. So that's pretty insane. Awesome. Skill changes. Interesting. Yeah, exactly, dude. Some really cool changes overall. For like everyone's builds, just a few tweaks, going to be a bit more fun. The Frozen Mandibles monster can once again no longer be bound as a spectral tame beast. So Frozen Mandibles are out there. Interesting. Buffed summon spectre variants of certain monsters in each act and their endgame variants. Further details on which monsters have been adjusted will be posted separately prior to release. Okay, so there's still patch notes they're going to release, guys, by the way. So these are like patch notes for now, but again, these might be prior to change just before release as a few tweaks might be made. Palm skill movement has been adjusted to reducing cases in which the player successfully uses skill but fails to hit the enemy after dashing. Beautiful. Touch my nose on the mic there. Beautiful. So basically you won't be missing your target. That's awesome. The per target hit limits on Firestorm. Actually, did I miss something? Yeah. Ice fragments created by such skills as Escape Shot and Ice Tipped Arrows are now only able to hit each enemy once per group of fragments created. So that will stop you from multi-hitting. So it's probably a nerf if you're using it to hit multiple targets with the same ones. The per target hit limits on Firestorm, Ice Storm, Rain of Arrows, Hailstorm rounds are now displayed. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Whirlwinds now take on elements from overlapping allied elemental ground for 8 seconds, previously 4 seconds. So anytime using Whirlwinds, it will pick up the elements from the ground and attack the enemies. Added wind type to the following skills. Oh shit! So they've increased it. So Twister, Whirling Swash, new skills. Whirling Slash, Wind Blast, Wing Blast, Whirlwind Lance, Wind Serpent, Fury, Tornado Shot and projectiles created by the Staggering Palm. Also includes wind in there. So that basically means anything additional with like notes with a wind on or increased wind damage or anything, you can include that on any of those skills. So you can technically get more damage, which is pretty godlike again. Fix the following skills having modifiable limits that were not described as limits. Frozen Locust, Earthquake, Earth Shatter, Shield Wall. These skills can now be supported by Overabundance. Fix the following skills have modifiable limits that were not described as limits. Okay, I was thinking then it's saying like a nerf, but fix the following skills, having modifiable limits. Okay, so basically you can do more to them, so it's not exactly a nerf at all. It's, if anything, it's probably a buff. Acidic concoction can no longer consume poison nor trigger acidic bursts from inanimate objects like vines, arrows, plant. Okay, so it's probably a bug fix. Invocation skills now have 0.2 seconds cooldown. Freezing salvo is now offered as a tier 3 skill gem. Wind Blast is now offered as a tier 3 skill gem. So you mentioned Wind Blast, dude. You can have that as a tier 3 skill gem. Godlike. Attribution is now offered as a tier 4 spirit gem. Vaulting Impact is now offered as a tier 5 skill gem. Ice Tip Arrows is now offered as a tier 5 skill gem as well. This is going to be interesting. So Ancestral Cry. Volcanic Eruption now deals 165 to 211% of attack damage. Previously 82 and 105%. So that's actually a buff for Volcanic Eruption for your Ancestral Cry. Big increase as well. Now triggers Volcanic Steps every 1.2 meters travelled, previously on footsteps. Ancestral Warrior Totem no longer has 25% less totem attack speed. Another buff right there. Arc now has 50% increased magnitude of shock inflicted instead of 50% more magnitude of shock inflicted. So Arc's been slightly changed. Magnitude of shock inflicted. Increased magnitude of shock inflicted. What? Now has 50% increased magnitude of shock inflicted in sense of... Oh. No. Arc now has 50% increased magnitude of shock inflicted instead of 50% more magnitude of shock inflicted. Am I missing something? Oh yeah, it's increased. It's increased and more magnitude. So it's increased magnitude rather than more. So basically, that's nerfed. That's nerfed it. Yeah, that's like that's nerfed. It's increased now. So instead of having the 50% more, it's just going to be increased. That's a nerf. Arc's been nerfed basically. So there goes the Arc builds out there. Arctic Armor now deals 8 to 12 cold damage per stage at gem level 4. Previously 16 to 24. So that's a big nerf. Okay. Scaling to 101 to 152 cold damage per stage at gem 20. Previously 203 to 204. Now has 100% more freeze build up. Now has 100% more magnitude of chill inflicted. So that's a mid one Arctic. It definitely got nerfed in the damage, but the rest of the stats look pretty okay. Armor Breaker. So Armor Breaker now deals 61% to 181% of attack damage. Previously was 60% to 156% at gen levels 3 to 20. Hits now break 11 to 4,918 armor. Previously 11 to 4,098 at gem levels 3 to 20. So that's a bit of a buff. Attrition now reserves 30 spirit. Previously was 60. That's a nerf. So that's a buff, so you can use that more. Ooh. Ball Lightning now deals 2 to 3 lightning damage at level 11. Previously 1 to 9. So that actually got buffed. Scaling up to 6 to 105 lightning damage at level 20. Previously on 4 to 70. Now has 375% more chance to shock. Previously 750, that's a nerf. Fire Infused Explosion now deals 166 to 249 4 damage at gem 11. Previously 90 to 135, so that's a bit of a buff. Scaling up to 570 to 856 fire damage at gem level 20. Previously was 287 to 431. So that's a buff right there. Ignited Ground now deals ignites as though dealing 200 300 fire damage at gem level 11. Previously 114 to 172. So that's a buff. Scaling to 744 to 1,116 fire damage at level 20. Previously was 425 to 638. So that's a buff right there. Barrier Invocation, now reserve spirit at 30. Previously 60. It's a buff. So you can... All these kind of skills are meaning you got more spirit, which means they're buffs basically. So what I thought would be like 90% buffs, 10% nerfs is kind of adding up. Cast on Minion Death is the tech I was using from Season 1. That's been buffed to 30% spirit, godlike. Charge Regulation no longer grants more skill speed while your frenzy charges. Now grants... What? No longer grants more skill speed while your frenzy charge. Now grants 24 to 25% increase skill speed. That's... Hold on. That's a lot. So we are using charge regulation in our build, folks. That's a crazy speed buff. No longer grants more skill speed. Now grants 24 to 25% increased skill speed. I thought it was flat 16. Yo, that's a buff. That's a crazy buff to our build as well. 16%. So that would be what? 16, 28%. 8%. 8 to 9% increased speed. That's godlike. That is godlike. Comet. Fire Infused Comet now deals 279 to 418 damage. Fire and Cold damage at 11. Previously was 149 to 223. So Comet got buffed. Scaling to 1036 to 1554 fire and cold damage at 20. Gem level 20. Previously 553 and 829. Comet got a massive buff, folks. Comet got a massive buff. Detonating Arrow now deals 99 to 192% of attack damage. Previously at 82 to 159% at gem level 9 to 20. So Detonating Arrow actually got buffed as well. Disengage now grants 2 frenzy charges and consuming the parry debuff at gem level 8 up to 3 frenzy charges at level 16. Elemental Conflux now has a rage. Elemental Conflux now has a reservation of 60 spirit. Previously 100, so another buff. Elemental Invocation now has 28 to 68% increased energy gain at gem levels 8 to 20. Previously 12 to 57%. Increase energy gained. Okay, so you get a lot more energy for your proccing for your elemental invocation. That's a buff. Electrocuting Arrow now has an attack speed of 110% of base. Previously 80% buff. Now deals 114 to 250% of attack damage. Previously 121 to 281%. At gem levels 5 to 20. Projectile now converts 80% of physical damage to lightning damage. Previously at 50. Nice buff there. More lightning damage. Let's go. Escape shot. Ice fragments now have an explosion radius of 2 meters. Previously 1.5. Ice fragments now deal 45 to 131% of attack damage at gem levels 1 to 20. Previously 55% to 172. Now fires 3 ice fragment projectiles. Previously 4, so it's 1 less projectile. Now has equal magnitude of chill inflictors freeze build-up. Explosive spear. Now gains +1 limit to large spears every 8 gem levels. Frenzy charge and powered explosions now deal 272% of attack damage. Previously 150 to 543%. It's a massive buff. At gem levels 1 to 20. Now has 100% increased ignite effect. Godlike. I was using that before. It's pretty cool. Previously 0. Godlike. So it's basically guaranteed ignite on each one. That is awesome. Frenzy charge and powered explosion length now increases from level 4 to 5 to 4 to 5.9 meters. Increased gem levels 1 to 20. Updated explosion visuals. Godlike. Eye of Winter. Eye projectile now travels much longer distance. Eye projectile now has 25% less base projectile speed. Cooldown is now 10 seconds. Previously was 15. Slight buff there or change. Fangs of Frost now has 106 to 157% more freeze build-up, 6 to 807% at gem levels 3 to 20. Explosion now has 212 to 314% more freeze build-up, previously 304 to 428% at gem levels 3 to 20. Now has an equal magnitude of chill inflicts as freeze build-up. Explosion chill ground now is 8 seconds, previously 4 seconds, so slight buff overall. Flame blast cooldown time is now 10 seconds, previously 15, slight buff. Fragmentation rounds now has bolts pierce 2 targets at gem level 1, scaling to bolts pierce 5 targets at gem level 24. Previously 2 at all gem levels, so that's a nice buff for the piercing. Base projectile speed has been increased by 50%. Freezing mark no longer causes an explosion. Instead, freezing the mark target grants a buff that grants damage, extra as cold damage for a duration, or until you mark another target. Frostbolt now has 120% to 195% more magnitude of chill inflicted at gem levels 5 to 20. No longer has chills enemies though, as dealing more damage. So Frostbolt, more magnitude of chill. Frost Wall, lightning infused Frost Wall now deals 5 to 103 damage at gem level 9, previously 4 to 68. Scaling up to 23 to 404 lightning damage at gem level 20, previously 15 to 292. Now has equal magnitude of chill inflicted as freeze build up. So pretty much slight buff over there overall. Did I get to... Okay, so we got to the Frozen Wall, so that's a nice little bit of increase from there. And then Frozen Locust no longer deals 80% less damage if destroyed within 0.5 seconds by something other than you. No longer creates chill ground. Ice Crystal no longer has collision. Now correctly works with increases to limit. Frozen Locust Ice Crystals no longer have a hidden less damage taken from allies. Instead, they have a hidden more damage taken from monsters. And the life of the Frozen Locust Ice Crystal has been greatly increased at later levels. This change is made to make Frozen Locust stronger and things that scale off Ice Crystal life, while keeping the amount of damage to destroy the crystal from both players and the monsters roughly the same. Frozen Local Ice Crystals has 227 to 9,536 maximum life, from 430 to 1,364. So that's a massive change right there. Gathering Storm perfect timing window has been increased. Now grants much higher dash range. Shockwave now has maximum 20 shockwaves per use, previously 8. Quality now grants maximum plus 8 shockwaves per use, previously 12. Maximum 8 shockwaves. Okay, so slightly nerfed. Ghost Dance now has a maximum 3 ghosts at all gem levels, previously 3 to 5 at 1 to 20. Duration between ghosts or gaining ghost shrouds is now 7.6.1. Previously it was 3.85301 at gen levels 4 to 20. Quality now instead provides 0 to 20% increased reservation efficiency. So that's slightly changed. Some things that I've nerfed a little bit. We are using Ghost Dance as well, so we will see the little bit change of that. But it's not our main skill, so it won't really affect us that much. And then we got buffs to like quicker skills and skill speed anyway. Whew. So the buffs definitely outweigh any nerfs that may come. Glacial Cascade, which I was using recently, is godlike. Wave now converts 80% of physical damage to cold damage, previously 60. Amazing. Final Burst now converts 100% of physical damage to cold, previously 60. So that's kind of 6. The last hit does get converted to cold damage. So we can definitely scale that and make a build of that as well. Hailstorm rounds. New stores 40 to 50, previously 20 to 25 bolts at gem level 11 to 20. Now has an attack damage of 132 to 228%. Previously was 146 to 254. At gem levels 1 to 20, now has 150% more reload speed. Now has equal magnitude of chill and freeze effects. Herald of Thunder now has a max damage of 40%, 122. Previously it was 47% and 143%. So it's been slightly nerfed, Herald of Thunder, folks. Slightly nerfed. And that goes between gen levels 4 to 20. I'm not using Herald of Thunder myself personally or any heralds on my build, unless it's like what we need right now. But I'm not using those right now. And I don't think we are for our main builds either. Hex Blast now has maximum 10 explosions per cast. Previously it was 3. So that's a massive, massive buff for any Hex players. Hex Blast you can have 10, which is godlike. So you could have 2 enemies there, proc those, turn around and do another 2 enemies, and you won't have to wait as long. You get up to 10 enemies. Ice Nova, Cold Infused Ice Nova explodes, applies additional chill on the ground, and it covers all that area as well. So let's see if we've got anything here for the notes. Oh yeah, so Hex Blast, we got that. Ice Nova, Cold Infused Ice Nova, Explosion, Chill Grounds radius are now 4.8 meters, previously 3.2, so it's got buffed. Cold Infused Nova now deals 15 to 22 cold damage at gem level 1. Previously 13 to 20 seconds. And the scaling was 448 to 672 at the gem level. So it's previously was 394 to 591. So that got slightly nerfed, which is pretty cool ski. So Cold Infused Ice Nova. Ice Shards, the skill description now correctly states that it cannot chain and projectiles target the ground. Shards now have 400% more damage to 2 seconds after aiming. Hold on. Damage timing. Ice Shards, yeah, so see, if it seems like we're repeating stuff, but we're not. So Ice Shard's skill description now currently states it cannot chain projectile targets from the ground. Shards now have 400% more damage 2 seconds after arming it. Previously 300% more damage after 3 seconds of arming it. Shard explosion radius is now 2.5 meters, previously 1.4, so that's a buff. Ice Shot now converts 80% of physical cold damage. Physical damage to cold damage, previously it was 70. Cold angle increased approximately 50%. Ice Tip Arrows now has a duration of 20 seconds, previously 8. Ice Fragments Explosion now has a radius of 1.8 meters from 1.3. And Powder Attacks also gain 50% of damage converted to cold damage. So for all you archers out there, this, even though there might be some nerfs, sounds like you got some nice buffs for your shots as well. Crossbow players too. Shot now consumes 15 heat to gain 100% more ignite magnitude. Previously 30 heat to gain 50% more magnitude, which is what you mentioned earlier, dude. So that might cover the ignite and the magnitude kind of damage from there as well. Incendiary Shot now consumes 15 heat to gain 100% more ignite magnitude. So yeah, more heat, more magnitude basically. After that, we got now additionally deals 11.1 fire damage per second, gem level 1. Scaling to 57.5 fire damage per second. Gem level 20. Ignited grounds duration is now 8 seconds, previously 4, so that's a buff. Killing Palm now grants a power charge. If colored by enemy dies, you dash into them. Now also quickly dashes and killing strikes additional. Now grants a power charge if a colourable enemy dies while you're dashing to them. Now also quickly dashes and strikes additional valid targets. Okay, that makes more sense. Lightning Arrow no longer bypasses a charge up time and lightning bolts rod's burst. Instead, the burst caused by lightning arrow can occur once every 0.1 seconds. Projectiles now convert to 50% of physical damage to lightning, previously 40%. So that's a massive buff right there. Beam confirms 100%. Where's this beam part? Lightning arrow no longer bypasses the charge up time. I feel like I'm missing stuff. Did I miss anything? We done the killing palm. Let's just go with the killing palm part. I feel like I'm reading the same part though. Killing palm now grants a power charge. I want to make sure we do this though. Hold on, stream. Hold on. Yeah, went through all that. Ice tip arrows. Went through this. Incinerate. Incendiary shot. Okay, so just lost the track. Where is that exactly? I don't remember reading incinerate, so I don't think we got to that part. Ice shards. I don't remember reading that. I've read so much of the notes. I don't know if I've missed anything, or it might be repeating it actually. Yeah, it might be repeating some skills. Nani? Yeah, well, we didn't get to lightning warp, so we're around here. Okay. So anyway, Herald of Thunder, hailstorm rounds we've gone over. Herald of Thunder now has attack damage of 40 to 122%. Previously 47 to 143% at gem levels 4 to 20. Hex Blast now has maximum 10 explosions per cast. We've been over this. These are the ones we've been over. Ice Shot now converts. Yeah, we went over that. Ice Tip Arrows went over. Incendiary Shot now consumes 50% heat to gain 100% more ignite magnitude. Previously 30 heat to gain 50% more ignite magnitude. Incinerate. Oh, I think I just got to the lightning arrow part. So I've gone over these. Killing Palm. Yeah, we went over Killing Palm. So yeah, lightning arrow no longer bypasses the charge up time and lightning rod's burst. Instead, the burst caused by lightning arrow can occur every 0.1 seconds. Projectile now converts 80% of physical damage to lightning damage, previously 40%. Beam now converts to 100% of physical damage to lightning damage, previously 80%. Lightning conduit now provides 10% more damage with hits per 5% shock effect on enemy, previously 20. Quality now provides 0 to 20% more lightning damage instead of 0.5%, 0 to 5% more damage with hits per 5% shock effect on enemy. Lightning Rod, the limit of acting lightning rods allowed now is 10, previously it was 20, so that's a nerf. Lightning Warp, so this is going to be important since we got a lightning warp build for the Blood Mage. Explosion and shock ground radius is now 3 meters, previously 4. I've got it so I actually get more AoE effect anyway, so it doesn't really affect us. Shocked ground now lasts 8 seconds, previously 10, so it's a bit of a nerf. New additional behavior. If used on an enemy that is not under the cool threshold, it will now apply a debuff that will cause its normal warping behavior automatically if the enemy falls under the cool threshold while the debuff is active. So it looks like lightning warp got like a little bit of a change. Not so much a crazy buff, but just a slight change, which might actually be pretty good. Lingering illusion. Alright, so remember that. So yeah, we got loads to go through still, man. I feel like I've read like 5 documentaries. Lingering illusion. Illusions now linger for 3 seconds, previously 1.2 seconds. Illusion now have 1% of your maximum life, previously 15%. Lingering illusions now cause its illusion to drop a remnant that grants a power charge and pickup, rather than granting a power charge when illusion is destroyed. These remnants last for 5 seconds. Lingering illusion now requires illusion to be destroyed by an enemy to drop its remnant. Living Bomb is another skill I was using, which was pretty good. So now it deals 21 to 31 fire damage, gem level 3, previously 18 to 28. So that's a buff. Scaling to 481 to 721 fire damage at gem level 20. Previously 340 to 510. So Living Bomb has been buffed. Magnetic Salvo. Explosion now converts 100% of physical damage to lightning damage, previously 40%. Nice. Mana Tempest now has effects on Mana Tempest. Linger for 2 seconds after leaving the Tempest. Oil Grenade. Cooldown is now 4 seconds, previously 5. Oil and Oil Grenade duration now 6 seconds, previously 5. Perfect Strike now deals 157 to 343% of attack damage, previously 142, 312. At gem levels 5 to 20. Permafrost Bolts now has projectile PS2 targets, well, PS2 targets at gem level 1, scaling to projectiles PS5 targets at gem level 24. Base projectile speed has been increased by 50% and has equal magnitude of chill inflicted as freeze build up. Plasma Blast now has 50% increased shock and magnitude of shock inflicted instead of 50% more magnitude of shock inflicted itself. So you got increased magnitude and more magnitude. Okay, so it's got increased again. Primal Strikes. Final Strike now has 20 plus 20 to melee strike range, previously plus 5. Final Strike now inflicts elemental exposure on hit, lowering the total element resistance by 50%, previously 20%. So nice little buff there. Rain of Arrows now only consumes 1 frenzy charge, now deals 93 to 181% of attack damage, previously 88 to 132%, gem levels 9 to 20. Now fires 150% more arrows if a frenzy charge was consumed, previously 100. Removed fires 50% more arrows per frenzy consumed. So that's pretty awesome buffs. Raise Zombie. Empowered Zombies now deal 122 to 253% more damage with hits at gem level 5 to 20, previously 100%. And Rapid Assault. Spearhead Explosions now deal 249 to 546 attack damage, previously 142 at 312 at gem levels 5 to 20. It's just a nice buff. Reap now has a base crit chance of 14%, previously it was 11, so that's a nice buff there. Row Amount no longer increases your movement speed, now has 100% reduced movement speed penalty from using skill while mounted, previously 80%. So any of your rower use out there, no longer increases your movement speed. Sacrifice now grants minions revive 46 to 40% more slowly, previously 66 to 60% at gem levels 14 to 20. Okay, so the sacrifice means they revive slower overall as well. But it's actually a buff because it's a lot less. It's more revives less, more slowly. Skeletal Reaver now gains 6% increased attack speed per 2 rage. Previously this was described as a gem, but not functional, so that's been fixed. So that's awesome. Shard Scavenger buff duration is now 3 seconds, previously 2. Minimum duration between the consumptions is now 6.5 to 60.5 seconds at gem levels 8 to 20, previously 7.65 to 7.05. Shattering Palm now causing an explosion if the target dies while you are dashing to them. Godlike. Buff for us into Shattering Palm. Shock Chain Arrows. Projectiles now converts 80% of physical damage to lightning, previously 20%. Shock Chain Arrow no longer releases secondary beams that continue to split. Instead, the initial projectile now consumes a shock to create a chaining secondary projectile, which creates a lightning rod into the ground near its last target after final change. This secondary projectile does not consume shock on hit. Shockwave now deals 293 to 500% of attack damage at gem levels 11 to 20, previously 306 to 572%. Shield Charge Collision now deals 85% to 254% of attack damage, previously 73 to 217 at gem levels 3 to 20. Siege Cascade now has 100% more damage to immobilized enemies. Quality is now 0 to 40% more damage against immobile enemies. And we have Snipe, which is Ice Blast, now deals 644 to 2,160% of attack damage at gem levels 3 to 20. Previously 560 to 1,878. Nice buff right there. for Snipe and Icy Blast. Removed Heavy Blast and Heavy Stun interaction from skill, so you won't get your Heavy Blast or your Heavy Stun. Soul Offering spike duration is now 6 seconds, previously 4. So Soul Offering is longer, 2 seconds. Godlike. Spark. Big one. Cold Infused Spark now deals 7 to 11 cold damage at gem level 1. Unchanged. Scaling up to 270 to 310 cold damage at level 20. Previously, it was 182 to 273. So Spark, Cold Infused Spark actually got buffed. Cold Infused Spark now deals 1 to 10 lightning damage at gem level 1, unchanged, so it hasn't been changed at all. Scaling up to 13 to 245 lightning damage at gem level 20. Previously 11 to 216. Spear of Solaris. Removes, generates 100% of monster, powers glory on skill. Hold on. This is good. This is really good. Removed, generates 100% of monster, powers glory for skill and heavy stunning enemies. Now generates 1 glory when you flick freeze, shock up. Let's go, stream. That means we can do a Solaris build. If you haven't seen Solaris, it's godlike with the beam coming down from the sky, like a Kamehameha, but coming down from the sky. That is fucking awesome. So basically, as long as we keep generating a freeze, shock, or ignite an enemy, we can stack those and pull those off. Before, you had to generate monster power as glory. Now we don't need it. Insane. Spiral Volley now deals 146 to 206% of attack damage. Previously 133 to 187. At gen levels 13 to 20. And now we're on to Staggering Palm. Fuck. These patch notes though, still. I swear. Alright, we're almost getting there, man. We're almost getting there. As long as we cover them once, we're good. Then we don't have to go back to them unless we really need to reread over them. Staggering Palm. Projectiles now deal 61 to 204% of attack damage. Gem levels 3 to 20. Okay, Staggering Palm's projectile buff's duration will now only start decreasing after the first projectile has been generated. Godlike. Staggering Palm now grants its buff if a primed enemy is stunned, killed, or while you dash into them. Now also quickly dash and strikes additional valid targets. Another buff for Staggering Palm, we'll take it. So again, our build that we're using, literally everything's been buffed apart from 1 or 2, but just the projectile's been nerfed, but everything else has been buffed. So godlike. Storm Lance, Frenzy, charging powered lance shot, ground duration now 8 seconds, previously 6. Amazing. Stormcaller Arrow, projectile now converts to 80% of physical damage to lightning damage, previously 40%. Bolt now has shocks enemies as though dealing 50% more damage. Bolt now converts 100% of physical damage to lightning damage, previously 80. Sunder, so Sunder's been now has 40% of attack base speed, previously 35%. Sunder's been buffed, boys. So anyone using Sunder, it's been buffed. Supercharged Slam now has an attack time override of 0.85 seconds. Previously was a second. Awesome. So you could probably change that in your skills and iframe and add it to a different skill and it cut the animation off. Tempest Spell impact radius is now 2.1 meters, previously 1.8. Bell Shockwave radius is now 2.6 meters, previously 2.4. Tempest Spell's hitbox has been increased, so Tempest Spell has been slightly increased for the area. Thunderous Leap now has 100% more chance to shock at all levels. Say no more, fam, say no more. Toxic Domain now grants regenerate 54 to 82 life per second at gem levels 30 to 20. Previously was 27 to 41, so that's a buff. Pustule explosion mechanics are now consistent across skills. Pustules have a base detonation duration of 15 seconds, which can be caused to detonate faster by poisoning the pustules, resulting in more of a violent explosion. Toxic Growth now has a limit of 12 pustules, previously 8. Now fires 4 pustules, previously 8. Now has 100% of base attack speed, previously 80%. So I think that's for the meme. That's for the Pathfinder, all the poison toxin builds and stuff. I think that's for mainly. So it should affect those. And looks like a few nerfs. So we'll have to see how people do with that or what the changes are. Vaulting Impact. Broken Stance applied by Vaulting Impact now has a 60% 60-second duration and is removed after taking 10 hits. Previously uncapped of hits within a shorter duration. The amount of pre-mitigated physical damage stored by broken stance is now 10%, previously 5%. Vaulting impacts quality stat increase the number of hits broken. Stance takes before being removed by 0.2. Previously increased broken stances duration to 0.2 seconds. Vine Arrow now gains 1 to limit of plants at gem levels 12 to 19. So that Vine Arrow, I think that was a new skill I showed, which is awesome. Volcanic Fissures now deals 101 to 106% of attack damage. Previously 88 and 145 at gem levels 7 to 20. So Volcanic Fissures got buffed. Voltaic Grenade now has 3 uses, previously 2, and the cooldown is 4 seconds, so that got buffed. Voltaic Mark no longer makes the target susceptible to shock or cause an explosion. Instead makes the target more susceptible to being electrocuted, and on electrocuting a marked target grants you a buff which you gain extra damage as lightning damage for a duration until you mark another target. So basically you mark them now, you get an extra buff, and the lightning damage gets increased as well, which is pretty awesome. Wave of Frost can now be used to cancel the actions. Now has equal magnitude of chill inflicted as freeze build-ups. And then finally, the last couple. Whirling Assault baseline move of Whirling Assault has been reworked to be more fluid. Now has +1 second to total attack time. Previously 1.4. Now has +14 to melee strike range at gem levels. Now has 1% more area effect per gem level. So Whirling Assault got buffed. And then Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer Gale Force now deals 27 to 82% of attack damage at gem levels 4 to 20. Previously it's 53% to 163%. So Wind Dancer got buffed. Wind Dancer. This is crazy, man. We on the uniques now, so I'm just seeing how much more we got to go through. It's a lot. Oh no, sorry. So we're getting there, man. We're getting there. We're not that far off now. I might have to sip some water though, friggin' hell. Yeah, man, dude. Like we've gone from top to bottom, so we ain't got too much to go. But yeah, we're getting there. Okay. I feel like a professor or something, reading out notes. Grand Spectrums now roll 6% to all elemental resistances per socketed Grand Spectrum on their variants. Previously it was 4, so that's pretty awesome. Sandstorm Visage every second inflicts critical weakness on enemies in your presence for 15-20 seconds. Previously it was always 15 seconds, so that's a change. Mahul Zotel's Machination now has 66 to 333% increased effect of socketed soul cores. Previously 100%. Existing versions of this item can be made better or worse with divine orbs, so you can roll that basically. Adorn now has 0 to 150% increased effect of jewel socket passive skills containing corrupted magic jewels. Previously 0 to 100. What's up, Tom? I could only watch a little today, my brother. Don't worry, all good, dude. Don't worry. We're going through patch notes. We had a couple of subs in already, which is beautiful. Still got a long stream to do, but I did get on early. So yeah, we're all good, dude. We're all good. We're just getting through these patch notes, and we're almost done. So I've been reading like Lord of the Rings, Time 5 NG Plus, as far as reading goes. So there's a lot of patch notes. But yeah, welcome back to the stream. Hope you're good today as well. Okay, so Asylum now has 200 to 300% increased armor and evasion. Previously 50 to 100. Perfidy has 345% increased armor and evasion. There's no point in me reading the older patch notes. It's probably just going to take too long anyway. So Melting Maelstrom now has every 3 seconds during effect. Oh no, we will, because I've done it for a mod anyway. So Salem now has 200-300% increased armor and evasion. Previously it's 50 to 100%. It's been buffed. Perfidy now has 300 to 450% increased armor evasion. Previously it was 100 to 150%. Perfidy's been buffed. Melting Maelstrom now has every 3 seconds during effect, dealing 100% of mana spent in those seconds as chaos damage to enemies within 3 meters. Previously it's 50% of mana, buffed. Struggle Scream can now have 3 additional instill modifiers. Previously it was 2. Zoth's Blood now has enemies in your presence have negative 25 to fire resistance. Previously 10. Zoth's Blood now has 50 to 100% fire resistance. Previously 30 to 40%. Quarry of the Storm has 50 to 100% to lightning resistance. Previously 20 to 30. Pandemonius now has 50 to 100% to cold resistance. Previously 20 to 30. Control Metamorphosis no longer has negative or negative 23, negative 3 to chaos resistance. This does not affect the existing item. It's the one that you get from Jest, the one that drops the gem from there basically. Svalin now has you take 0 to 20% damage from blocked hits, previously 15 to 20. Zavalin now has 200 to 300 increased armor, previously 150 to 200. Keeper of the Ark now has 150% to 250% increased armor and energy shield, previously 100 and 150. Keeper of the Ark now has 40% less damage taken with hits. Take 40% less damage over time, previously 30 for both. Olroth's Resolve now has excess life recovery added as guard for 20 seconds. Ooh, it used to be 10. So Olroth's Resolve got buffed, that flask. Godlike. Moria Victus now has 300 and 400% increased armor and evasion. Previously it was 2 to 300. Solus Ipse now has 150 to 200% increased armor, evasion and shield. It was previously 100, 150. Solar Ipsis, you can socket 2 additional copies of each lineage support gem in different skills. Previously you could do 1. Senior Aquo could only, has 100 to 150% increased armor and evasion energy shield. Previously 40 to 60. Senior Aquo now has enemies immobilized. You take 20% more damage. Previously you take 20% more damage. Previously 25% less damage. So that's a massive change right there. Ab Arteno now has 100 to 150% increased armor evasion energy shield, previously 60 to 80. Mind of the Council has 150 to 200% increased evasion and energy shield. I'm saying that. Evasion and energy shield, previously 60 to 90. Indigon now has 100 to 140% increased energy shield, previously 60 to 100, so that got buffed. Defiance of Destiny now has recover 20 to 30% of missing life for being hit by an enemy, previously 10 to 20%. Oh, it's pretty. Oh yeah, that's the amulet, so that's got buffed again. That's nice. Wrathpith Globe has now non-challenging spells have 3% increased critical hit chance per maximum life, previously 5%. That's a nerf for Wrathpith. That's a nerf for Blood Mage and any Wrathpith build. It used to be 5%, now it's 3%. So it's going to be harder to cap your crit the more life you're going to get. So that's a nerf, guys, for any sort of Blood Mage builds in general. Not going to say it's huge, but it is still 2%. And that's based off several layers of 100% maximum life. So every build normally has a few thousand life. So that's a nerf to Wrathpith. Hammer of the Faith now has 300 to 350% increased physical damage, previously 250 to 300%. Lionized Glare now has barrageable attacks with bows repeat +2 times if no enemies in your presence, previously 1. Doom Fletch attacks this weapon gain 100% of physical damage, extra damage for each element, previously 50, so it's a buff. And then we have Whispering Ice now has 5 to 7 level of cold spell skills, previously 2 to 4. Has increased intelligence from 5 to 10%, previously 5 to 15%, so that's a change. It has 2% increased spell damage per 10 int, previously it was 4%, so that's a nerf. Whispering Ice now has inflicts elemental exposure and hit, lowering total elemental resistance by 50-60%. Previously 20 to 30, so a slight buff right there. So that's a mid one where it's been nerfed in a few spots. So it's been balanced basically. The Covenant now has skills gain a base life cost equal to 100% of base mana cost, previously 50%. The Covenant now has 10% of spell damage leached as life, previously 5%. Nice little buff there. The Covenant now grants Life Remnant skill. This change does not affect the existing items, so that's pretty dope. So you get Covenant from there, from Life Remnants. So you get Life Remnants from there, which is really good for Blood Mage, any sort of like mage build in general. It's godlike. Silks of Veneration no longer has 10 to 20% to all elemental resistances. Existing items will still have this modifier. Silks of Veneration now has 150% to 200% increased energy shield. Existing items will not have this modifier. Cloak of Defense now has 50 to 100% increased mana regen rate, previously 50, buffed. Cloak of Defense now has 50% more damage is taken from mana before life, buffed. Volcanic Rift now adds 1 to 3 to 500 lightning damage, previously 2 to 300, buffed. Brass of Dome now has 700 to 800% increased armor, previously from 400 to 500, buffed. Maligaro's Virtuosity now also has your critical hit chance cannot be re-rolled. Oh, sheesh. So that's pretty godlike. So if you cap that, that's that one that gives you that mega crit damage, but it also gives you crit chance as well. Those are the gloves. They're quite dope. That's been buffed. That's a buff right there. The Coming Calamity now also has Herald skills deal 50% to 100% increased damage. I said it already. Calamity is going to be fucking awesome with all the new elemental damage. So Coming Calamity is going to be godlike. And now we get 50 to 100% increased damage for any Herald skills. Woo-wee. Beautiful. Ghost Wraith now has 35% maximum life converted to energy shield, previously 25% buff. Cloak of Flame now has 30 to 50% maximum life energy shield. This change does not affect existing items. Cloak of Flame now has 50% of physical damage taken as fire damage, previously 40%, slight buff. Window's Rain now has life would be lost by taking damage instead of reserved until you take no damage. To life for 3 seconds, previously 5 seconds. So it's slightly buffed because you can take more damage, you just need more health regen to cover it. Okay. Lightning Coil has 30 to 50% of physical damage from hits taken as lightning damage, previously 20 to 40%. Slight buff. Vol's Protector now has 150% to 200% increased armor, energy shield, and energy shield, previously 100 to 150%. Vol's Protector now drops on the plated vestment types, previously ironclad investments. Existing items will not have this change. The Surrender now drops the Val. Tower Shield base types. Existing items that will not have this change. So it's only just that as the shield basically. So that gets added as well. I'm falling asleep like this, like. Shit, wake up. So we covered Lightning Coil, Vol's Protector. The Surrender on now drops on the Val Tower Shield base type, previously Tower Shield. Existing items will not have this change. Oh, so that was the other one. Vol's Protector now drops on plated vestments base type, previously ironclad vestments. Existing items will not have this change. Culture of Crimson now has 10 to 15% increased maximum life, previously 25% reduced. Sancro Sanctum has 10 to 20% of damage taken recouped as life, previously 5 to 10. Searing Inheritance now has all damage taken from hits to contribute to magnitude of chill inflicted on you. Existing items will not have this change. So let's make sure we're right here. Morbid Invictus now has 10 to 14 spirit per socket field, previously 6 to 10. Existing items cannot be updated using a Divine Orb. Mori Invictus again, plus 8 to 10 or elemental resistances per socket field, previously 5 to 7. Mori Invictus again, attribute socketed, just an increase again. Mori Invictus, maximum life socketed higher again, same again, maximum mana again. Resistance same thing. Mario Invictus global defense is same thing. Mario Invictus life regen. It's previously 4-6 been buffed again. So Mario Invictus has just been hella buffed basically. Mario Invictus now has hits against you at 15% to 20% reduced critical damage per bonus field. Previously 10 to 15. Another buff. And then it also increases your stun threshold as well. It was previously 40 to 60. It's gone from 70 to 90. Hyries, Aya no longer has 25% increased chill duration on enemies. It adds 13, 20 to cold damage to attacks making existing items. We want to have this change. It also gains 15, 25% of damage, extra cold damage, and 25% of increased freeze duration on elements as well. Okay, so should be coming over here. So Queen of the Forest now has 25% increased movement speed. Oh, shoot, yeah. Let's go! Thank you so much for the gifted sub, dude. Thank you very much. Drengar, are you able to do the shout outs and stuff as well, dude? If not, I can do it if you're at work. But yeah, thank you so much for the thank you so much for the sub, dude. We really appreciate it. I'm gonna go back to reading the rest of these notes, so that helps out a lot. Awesome. Shout out for you. My pleasure. Yeah, basically, I'm just going through all of these one time. I'll get these uploaded. We can always compare them and go on back, but there is a lot. There is so much they've added, so we got a lot to go through. But once we've done it, we're good. And you were okay. I got you, dude. Thanks for letting me know. So I got the shout out done, and let's get this over here as well. Mass firework, mass firework. Awesome. I did firework, mass. Okay, awesome. Alright, sweet, so that's done as well. So let's get back to this. We got to... Yeah, dude, they didn't really do too much change to Lightning, by the way. If anything, they buffed a few things as well, you know, dude. So Lightning's good. Lightning's good. They've just increased like other things like magnitude and stuff like that of flames. So they've increased other areas of the game. So instead of like nerfing, going crazy with nerfs, they've changed some lightning stuff. Don't get it twisted. They've changed a lot of lightning stuff, by the way. So it's not like more lightning anymore. It's increased. 50% more lightning is huge, like a massive buff, because it's 50% more of the lightning damage you're applying. Now it's increased, so it's based off your flat lightning damage. So it has been nerfed, but it's basically been. But the real word, it's more balanced than nerfed. But then they've also increased other damages. So they're very meticulous in what they roll. I reread it a few times just to make sure. But that's what they've done, basically. Just for a quick recap. Just a quick one, dude. The build that I made, my Huntress actually got buffed. She's actually got more attack speed. The build that I'm literally made now, she's got buffed too. She's got 2 or 3 buffs. Faster attack speed off base. So we get base attack speed is faster. So we don't have to even do anything. She already got buffed. They also changed it where one of the charges actually gets you... the endurance charge actually gives me more attack speed. Extra 9% attack speed. So we're going to get base attack speed even faster. We're going to get additional 9% attack speed. Our projectiles are going to be doing less damage, 40% decrease. But our damage doesn't always come from the projectiles anyway. And I subscaled that on purpose because I thought that might happen. So doesn't really affect us, dude. So we just got hella buffs for this build that I've made. Also, the minions build I'm going to be making, that's buffed as well because we get extra fire damage too. So all the builds I've made or shown have been buffed in some regard. Blood Mage, though, has been slightly changed. Lightning Ward's been changed. And the Wrath Pit has been nerfed. So we'll have to check on that, but that has been nerfed. Wrath Pit has been nerfed. So you're going to lose your crit chance. But if you can get your crit up, which you can be like life, then your Wrath Pit will still work. Totally up to you, dude. You play whatever you think's best for you. I'm not gonna go Deadeye. I'm going for Druid, dude, like day one. And Druid has some sick lightning skills. So if you want to do lightning, you can always go Druid as well. And we can just do it. We can just blast it as we play the new league. If you want to go Deadeye, be careful because some of the stuff has been changed on Deadeye. And like I said, off early levels, it's increased lightning. It's not more anymore. So it might take you longer to level and get more stuff with the Deadeye overall. We're still going through the patch notes though, so I can tell you a bit more, but it's still probably going to be strong, but there have been a lot of changes for Deadeye already. Again, Lightning Saucer could work, but Arc and the other Spark have been changed as well, dude. So you're going to have to be careful with some of these lightning skills. And again, a lot of them don't really shine till you get to endgame number 1. And when you get a lot of currency, then they look good. But before then, you might be struggling campaign, you know what I mean? So out of those 3, maybe go Lightning Source if you want to try that, if that's what you really, really want to go for. So yeah, just see what you want to play. But I'm telling you now, dude, Druid right now with the Shaman class could be really ridiculous. Because from what I've seen, I've got some ideas for a build, just as a heads up. So I'm going Druid Shaman day 1. Like, that's all I'm blasting hardcore. What was it called? The other one, the other class, Oculus. I think it's called Oculus or something, or whatever. The other class he's got, his variant. It looks cool, but I think that's going to be another one where you're going to need high investment to make it really strong towards endgame. But Druid Shaman, it's going to be bonkers. I'm going for that, and then I'm going to make a blaster build quick anyway. So once I've done Druid and I've leveled him to like 97 or something, I'll release the build or whatever I got, whether it's broken or strong or whatever, it doesn't matter. Then I'm gonna get like a blaster build, and then we're gonna do a Smithy Kitava build as well. We're gonna do about 5 builds this cycle anyway. So I'll juggle all the builds that I can, and then if you guys need any help, I'll help you craft, or we'll just craft it together on the stream as well. Okay, so where did we get to? Queen of the Forest. Queen of the Forest now has 25% increased movement speed, previously 0. Movement speed 1 per 600 evasion. Rating per 800, previously 800. Capped at 50%, previously uncapped. Okay, so that was uncapped before, so now it's going to be capped. So that might be slightly different. So Queen of the Forest has got some changes. Thunderfist Crackling Palm skill now has 15% base critical hit chance, previously 5. And deals 40% more lightning damage at all levels. Thunderfist Crackling Palm is actually like a nice buff. 15% is a lot more than 5, so that's great buff. Adonia's Eagle Pinnacle, a power skill, now grants 50% more elemental damage per power charge consumed, previously 8. Okay. Lightning Coils, Vallejo's charge skill now has its bolt chains 2 additional times and deals 100% more lightning damage at all levels. Perfidy now has 10 to 30% more chance to avoid physical damage from hits, previously 10 to 40. Existing items can be made worse with the Divine, so you can roll it with the Divine burst basically. Perfidy now has 10 to 30% chance to avoid chaos damage, that's the same thing. 10%, 30% chance to avoid fire damage, same thing. So yeah, it's pretty much the same thing for Perfidy. Skin of the Loyal now has elemental ailment threshold, is increased by uncapped chaos resistance. From overcapped to resistance, armor is increased by uncapped fire resistance. Overcapped resistance, energy shield, same thing. Evasion is uncapped. So Skin of the Loyal is pretty strong, because you can uncap it with a lot of those, which is pretty insane. Choir of the Storms. So I'm gonna have to look into that one. Anything that's uncapped, as long as you like add the right mods, you can make it really, really strong in one area. But it might be difficult to scale like across the board. You might have to sacrifice something. But anything that is uncapped is always worth looking at in any build. Where I'm looking at the evasion rating. So evasion rating is increased by uncapped lightning resistance. But then again, getting resistances normally peaks at like 150 to 200 max. So still be quite limited, even if it's uncapped. Choir of the Storms, Lightning Bolt skill now has 5 cooldown uses, previously 1. Cooldown uses 5, cooldown uses previously 1. Okay, so Choir of the Storm's Lightning Bolt skill has 5 cooldown uses. So it's uses where it was 1 before, so it's 5 now. So it sounds like a buff to me. Aurovasara now has, on hitting enemy, gains maximum added lightning damage equal to enemy's power for 20 seconds, up to a total of 500, previously 6 seconds. Okay, and then Unborn Lich now rolls 4 desecrated modifiers, previously 3. So the Unborn Lich, that's 4 desecrated modifiers. That's kind of godlike. Grip of Kulimak has many of its modifiers and ranges buffed. So that's pretty awesome with the belt as well. So the Kulimak belt's been changed too. Awesome. And Sacrifice of the Blood Keystone granted by the Undying Hate. Unique. Now grants regenerate life per second per 16 life spent in the past 4 seconds. Previously 1 life per second per 8 life spent. Okay, so this is for the Blood Mage and stuff like that, for the Keystone. So the Undying Hate gems are like Tech Rod. So regenerates 1 life per second per 16 life. Ooh. So basically you're losing a lot more life, but you regenerate less. So that's going to be even more risky. So against any Spark builds or Arc builds that are spamming, it's going to be more risky for them now. Because they're actually going to get less life regen, and it's going to cost them more, so they're going to lose more HP as well. And it's for own. It's not even for 8 seconds anymore. It's only for the last 4 seconds as well. Now has 20% more life cost of skills. Previously 50%. Okay, so they balanced it a little bit, but yeah, Blood Mages, Spark, and all those skills are going to be definitely changed a lot. And the scaredy cats are already scared of these so-called energy shield and health regen modifiers. They're just going to shit their pants even more now. That's crazy. That's fine for us though, because we've done everything on stream. We didn't shy away from those, so there we go. Awesome. So yeah, a lot of changes for those regen builds out there for the boys. A lot of changes, man. A lot of changes. So the Blood Mage I made as well will be changed, of course. So we can still try that out as accordingly. Which I made some modifiers to get around it. So I don't mind bringing that back out and just testing it, see what we can come up with. Which will be a lot of fun anyway. And that's already been released on YouTube. So I've got a log of everything for that. So we can try that at some point. We'll see how we feel. But not right now because we're going to go Druid first. Item changes. Rune sockets have been renamed to augment sockets. Non-dual items that go in augment sockets have been renamed socketables to augments. Existing augment talismans have been renamed to idols. Existing items that have invalid augment sockets from the following limit changes will be unable to be used until the sockets are once again valid. Hedge Witcher Sandra's Rune of Wisdom is now limited to 1, so you can only increase the spell damage by 1. Ooh. Sakawal's Rune of the Sky is now limited to 1. They've made a lot of changes. So Feminist Rune of Agony can be limited to 1. Pharaoh's Rune of the Grace can be limited to 1. Pharaoh's Rune of the Chaos Chase is limited to 1. And Gratian's Ruse of Warding is now limited to 1. Sakawal's Rune of Memory is limited to 1. So you can basically only put 1 of 1 in each like body armor slot basically. So they've changed a lot. Sakawal's Rune of Erosion is now limited to 1. Farul's Rune of the Hunt is now limited to 1. Creation's Rune of Recovery is limited to 1. Courtesan's Man's Rune of Cruelty is now limited to 1. Dane's Grinnell's Rune of Mastery is limited to 1. Venomous, I think literally all of them been limited to 1. Venomous Rune of Spin is limited to 1. Counter Seske's Rune of Archery is limited to 1. So again, a lot of changes for all your builds that are using like 2 gem slots or 3 gem slots in their build. You can only have 1 in there now. That's massive changes to all the builds in weapons wise. Counter Seske's Rune of Archery is now limited to 1. Dane's Gift of Rune of Wilderness is now limited to 1. Venomous Rune of Drain is now limited to 1. Thane Merc's Rune of Summer is limited to 1. Lady Hestra's Rune of Winter is limited to 1. Thanelet's Rune of Spring is now limited to 1. The Great Wolf's Rune of Claws is now limited to 1. The Great Wolf's Rune of Willpower is limited to 1. Idler Sirius is limited to 1. Idol of Thruldana is limited to 1. Idol of Grold is now limited to 1. Idol of Aishtar is limited to 1. Idol of Eregrin is limited to 1. Idol of Maxarius is limited to 1. Idol of Ralikesh is limited to 1. It's insane. Aox's Soul Core Heat Proof is limited to 1. Zolati's Soul Core is now limited to 1. Topatante's Soul Core's Dampening is limited to 1. So you kind of have multiple health regions in there. You can literally only have 1. The rest have to be like normal runes pretty much on a lot of different gear. Atmohua's Soul Core Retreat is limited to 1. Quipoletal's Soul Core Flow is limited to 1. Tazamato's Soul Core of Ferocity is limited to 1. Uramoti's Soul Core of Attenuation is limited to 1. Apaloti's Soul Core of Assault is limited to 1. Guatilitzi's Soul Core of Endurance is now limited to 1. Ex-Opex's Soul Core limited to 1. Estazunti's Soul Core Convalescence limited to 1. Takati's Soul of Affliction limited to 1. Chelotol's Soul of the Core of War is limited to 1. Sitaquotalotol's Soul Core of Fullness is limited to 1. Zipacardo's Soul Core Dominion limited to 1. Great Rune of Nobility. Oh, here we got to change. Great Rune of Nobility now grants 10% to chance to inflict elemental exposure instead of lightning exposure. So that's where things are going to get slightly changed. Elemental and lightning specific. The modifiers for bow attacks, fire, X additional arrows and bows have been disabled. You hear that? You hear that? You hear that, people? The modifiers for fire, X amount of additional arrows on bows has been disabled. So you won't be able to do those extra bow, additional arrows on your bow, basically. A new modifier has been added to bows. A multiplicative amount or plus amount surpassing chance to fire an additional arrow. Oh, so they basically disabled additional arrows. What they've added is a chance to get it. So they've removed it being flat, so you're not guaranteed an additional arrow anymore, by the way, but you've got a chance to get another arrow, basically. Yeah, so all you bow users, basically, they've removed it, so you're not guaranteed to get it. Now it's a chance. Depending on what modifier you get, you can get surplus is 25 to 50% chance. Splintering is 75 to 100% chance. Shards is 125 to 150% chance. Of many is 175 to 200. So you could get a chance to roll it on there, but it's basically like a 1 in 4 sort of thing. Yeah, 1 in 4. Spell damage, specific damage type, damage extra elemental damage, mods and staves are now 33% stronger on average. So staves, stuff like that's been increased. Magnitude of damaging ailments, desecrated mod and staves now rolls from 40 to 64, previously 31 to 49. Existing items can be updated to a divine orb. Spell damage with spells that cost life, desecrated mod and staves now roll from 121 to 154. Previously 91 to 116. So they're trying to push people to do more spell damage with items that on staves instead, and they're giving you more damage output. Folky can no longer roll top 2 tiers of spell damage with specific damage modifiers. Cultist Focus now provides 53 energy shield, previously 49. Druidic Focus now provides 58 energy shield, previously 52. Leyline Focus provide, so these all provide more shield. Leyline does 66 energy shield, previously 58. Sacred Focus gives you 75, previously 63. And Talisman Focus now provides 85 energy shield, previously 68. Totemic Great Club now has War Cries and Power, add an additional attack, previously crushes enemy on hit. Now has 77 to 105 damage, previously 73.99. Existing items will not have this implicit. Oh, so it's base built in, so it's not. They won't have the existing items won't have the implicit. So you'll have to obviously farm new ones when when everything gets the new patch comes out, basically. Forge Maul now has the implicit modifiers, crushes enemy and hit. Now has 26 to 35 damage, previously 29 to 39. So slight nerf right there. And items will not have this implicit existing items. Same as the Anvil Maul, crushes enemy and hit. Has slightly been nerfed to 101 to 136. Previously 112 to 151. Oak Great Hammer now has 1630 damage from 1426. Has actually been buffed. Has 1 attacks per second. Previously 1 of 5. This is 10% damage increase. Increased stun build up. So your Oak Great Hammer is going to end up doing more damage basically. So they mentioned in the developer stream that they're going to be doing like, they want to make sure weapons are more like flat based damage strong, rather than trying to get a +6 on skills to make it strong. So that's kind of implying. Increased stun build up implicit has been lowered to compensate. So they're trying to make a bit more balance. Ironwood Great Hammer now has 105 to 196 from 94 to 174 base. Has 1 attacks per second, previously 105. So it's exactly the same thing for the Iron Great Hammer. Cultist Great Hammer, same thing. 36 to 49 damage from 32 to 43. And so that's a buff. And the Fanatic Great Hammer also from 101 to 137, from 89 to 120. Crumbling Maul now has 8% critical strike chance, so they've increased the base crit, which is good. Disintegrating Maul now has 8% crit chance, previously 5, and it deals actually deals less damage. 92 to 112 from 93 to 114. Ruination Maul. So basically all your Titan Warrior builds out there and your heavy-handed weapons are all getting buffed for crits basically. By about 3% roughly. Ruination Maul now has 8% crit chance, previously 5. And damage has been lowered from 104 to 127, from 113 to 138. Ironhead Spear and Steelhead Spear base damage and range has been lowered, but total damage remains the same. Ooh, spears have been changed as well. Wing Spear now has attack speed 1.7, previously 1.65. War Spear and Flying Spear now have approximately 5% more base damage, so the base damage is good. Fork Spear, Branch Spear, and Prolonged Spear now have 1.55 attacks per second from 1.6. Have a much higher base range, but total damage remains the same. So their balanced spears a bit. It's not like they've been buffed, not they've been nerfed crazy. It's just a weird changes, or just like ambiguous changes that are a bit weird in general. Barb Spear, Jagged Spear, Spike Spear have attacks per second from 1.6 to 1.5 now. Crit chance has actually been nerfed from 6.5 to 6. They've been nerfed there. And you have gained the implicit bleeding effect from damage, deals 10 to 20% faster. So basically spears have got, like I said, nerfed and buffed, and they're very ambiguous. The bleed is a lot stronger though as well. Broad Spear is exactly the same. Changes there, pretty much same thing. 1.4 from 1.5. And you get increased melee strike range, so a few changes there. Crossblade Spear actually gets buffed for speed, and it prevents damage. Existing items will not have this in implicit. Implicit prevent 3 to 7% damage taken from deflected hits. Okay, so Crossblade Spear's got actually damage reduction built in. Sea Glass Spear, Akayoin Spear, attack speed, buff 1.6 from 1.5. Damage has decreased, but they've been nerfed. Yeah, these are just really weird ones. I've gone through them all anyway, but if there's anything like that, I should really just skip them because they're so minor, the changes. Endgame versions of Wing Spear and Crossblade Spear have been added. The Mage modifier, +1 to spell skills on Focus and Amulet, now has a level requirement of 10. Previously 5. This will change the level requirements of existing items. Oh, sheesh. So when you're getting +1 to spell skills and stuff like that, your level requirement's gone up, which might be a bit limited for other builds if you're not like adding the other skills incorrectly as well. The Ovcoals modifier on staves now grants +1 to fire spell skills from 2. So that's a nerf to flat. This also applies to equivalent modifiers on staves. The Cinders modifier grants 2 levels of fire skills from 3. That's been nerfed. Flames modifier on staves has been nerfed from 3, was 4 originally. Same thing. And of the Mage modifier has been nerfed from 2 to 1. Same thing. Of the Enchanter modifier has been nerfed from 3 to 2. Of the Invoker modifier has been from the fire spells been from 4 to 3. So nerfed. Perfect Essence of Battle now grants +3 to level up all attacks, skills on one-handed melee weapons and bows from +4. So that got nerfed. So you get +3 now instead of 4. Perfect Essence of Battle now grants +5 to all attack on skills from +6. So they've actually nerfed the overall weapon skills a level or 2 levels. Lesser in Sorcery now grants 69 to 88% increased spell damage. Okay, so sorcery builds have been upgraded and buffed. Essence of Sorcery grants increased spell damage. Essence of Sorcery, increased spell damage. Yeah, again. Perfect Essence of Battle now grants +3 levels to attacks and handed immediate skills from 4, nerfed again. And same thing for Perfect Essence of Battle now grants +5 instead of +6 and nerfed. Corsair Coat now grants 5% increased movement speed. Movement speed instead of reduced movement speed penalty from skills while moving. And Farrell's Rune of Grace now grants 8% increased deflection rating while moving instead of reduced movement speed penalty from using skills. So Farrell's Rune of Grace looks like it's been buffed for like a nice increased deflection rating instead of reduced movement speed penalty from using skills while moving. So that's pretty cool. Gripper Kulimak can no longer roll reduced movement speed, blah blah blah. Desecrated modifier amulets that granted skills chance not to consume glory now starting instead grant 20-30% chance for skills to retain, 40% of glory on use. So if you're using glory builds, that will just negate that use, and a lot of builds don't use it, so it's kind of mid, but won't use it as much. The Desecrated modifier granting reduced movement speed penalty from using skills has been removed, so you won't get any movement speed penalty from using the skills anymore, which is pretty cool. Adds a Relic Locker to every end floor reward room in the Trial of Sekhmet. Ooh. A Relic Locker to every end of the floor reward from Trial of Sekhmet. So you get a Relic Locker to every end of the floor room. That's pretty awesome. Relic modifier light-footed can no longer roll. Relic modifier acrobatic now grants trap steal 7 to 5% reduced damage. No fucking way. They fucking nerfed you in Sekhmet trials. Relic modifier now grants traps 10 to 8% reduced damage, previously 15 to 12%. No way. So Sekhmet trials is going to be a bit harder at the higher levels. That's crazy. That's crazy. Alright, I think we're on the last notes, guys. Endgame changes, and that's it. Well, a couple more. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. I ain't enough lives. Feels like I've been playing the campaign by talking. Shit. Yeah, so Sekhmet. Sounds like Sekhmet trials are going to be harder in general. Alright. Maps no longer scale pack size. You increase the tier. Instead, they increase non-unique monster effectiveness. Effectiveness grants monsters increased life, increased XP, granted an increased quantity of items drops. Tablets now have a maximum of 4 modifiers, so you can update the actual tablets with 4 modifiers, which is pretty cool. To unlock the ability to craft tablet beyond 2 modifiers, you need to defeat Arbitrary Ash. So you got to push endgame, you got to push the pinnacle bosses to unlock it all. Arbitrary Ash no longer drops a rare corrupted tablet, so you won't get it from there. All tablet modifiers will roll on the generic Persecutor tablet. Can now roll on all tablet base types. The following tablet modifiers have been disabled. Plundering has been removed. Of the Pursuit has been removed. Of Envy has been removed. Added new tablet modifiers. Challengers which grant 7 to 11% increased effectiveness of monsters in your maps. Of Contest which grants unique monsters in your maps have 1 additional rare modifier. Re-enabled. Of Undertaking, which grants map has 1 or 2 to 3 random modifiers, and then the rest of them has been buffed. So the Collector's now been buffed, Breeding has now been buffed, Teaming has now been buffed, Brimming has now been buffed, Bountiful has now been buffed, Elevator has now been buffed, Treasure has now been buffed, Cartographer has been buffed, Of the Nemesis has been buffed, Shrine has been buffed, Strongboxes has been buffed. Essence has been buffed, Spirits has been buffed, Exile has been buffed, Summoning's been buffed, Horde's been buffed, Invasion's been buffed, Domain's been buffed, Rupturing's been buffed, Fissuring's been buffed, Verisium's been buffed, Detonator, Demolition of Knowledge, Ancient Fields, Relics, Runes, Simulacrum, it's all been buffed. Madness, Persecution, Mirrors, Delirium, been buffed. Freezing Time, Phobia, Sacrifice, Appeal, Foundling, Cult, Omens, Pathways, Conquering, Get Treasure, Hordes, Horde of the Fleeting, Zest. The Zest Madness Breach Atlas Notable no longer provides rare breach monsters in your maps. Have the Soul Eater modifier instead. Oh, so it's the Atlas nodes basically. Instead provides rare breach monsters have Onslaught and rare breach monsters have 50% increased effectiveness. Okay. The Prayer for Wealth Atlas passive has been removed due to the Greed Shrines no longer being available. Okay. The High Road, thanks to the lurk as well, dude. The High Road no longer provides Waystones, have 20% chance to be higher for Corrupted. Now has 10% chance for Waystones. We found your maps to be rare and corrupted. Okay. So the High Road no longer provides Waystones found 10% for higher tiers. Okay. So the Waystones have higher chance to be rare and corrupted, which is awesome. Get Out of My Head and the Mirrors, Delirium Notables have swapped places. Get Out of My Head, Delirium Atlas Notable has been reworked. So it gives you more magic monsters. And 25% chance to have an additional Delirium modifier. 100% increased rarity of items dropped by magic monsters with maps and Delirium. So that's a really good one to use if you're trying to go for that rarity as well. The Isn't It Tempting Delirium Atlas Notable has been reworked. And you get more. You can read it when you get to it. Yeah. It's not real. Delirium Atlas Notable has been reworked as well. Waystones can no longer be instilled with liquid emotions. So I'm going to use all the liquid emotions I got. So we'll juice everything we got till we run out. Improve the visuals, Delirium Fog. So they basically upgraded Delirium so it's not as crazy as it used to be. You got much more clarity. It's better overall. Godlike. Delirium no longer has a reward bar indicating instead Delirium monsters have a chance to drop liquid emotions. Have a higher chance to drop them. Delirium bosses have a guaranteed liquid emotion drop and increased chance to drop high liquid emotions. Boss waves in Simulacrum also drop guaranteed liquid emotions with a chance of being higher tier liquid emotion. Idols of Esther Zunti no longer required to unlock the vault maps. Existing items will be deleted. The vaults of Kamasa unique map chests are no longer affected by the party bonuses. Awesome. Remove camera zoom out on completion tower maps. Added an objective for icon, activating all checkpoints. When a player activates all checkpoints, completes the map, all map content minimap icons will be revealed. Removed Breach, Ritual and Delirium and Expedition from Map Legend as they no longer have icons shown on your atlas and instead can be found randomly in maps or added through the precursor tablets. Okay. We're almost there, gang. We're almost there. Monster changes. Bosses now have an anti-burst damage mechanic. Once a boss has finished its emerge or becomes aggro, the damage reduction period starts counting down. The damage reduction tapers down from full effect to no effect over the course of this duration. For every unit the boss moves from its starting location to damage reduction fall off even faster. Bosses which cannot or barely move have shorter damage reduction period. Improves the invisibility explosive fungus encounter in the Grim Tangle. Improves the invisibility explosive fungus spawn the fungal proliferator monster type. Improve the mid-fight phase change sequence of the final act boss 2. Improve the phase change sequence of the final act boss 4. Improve the behavior of Great White One boss. Made various improvements to Rogue Exile behavior. Re-enable the following Rogue Exiles. Tuar, the Ruthless, Alfred, the Afflicted, Drushan, the Artillerist, Andoran, and Deft. The Blind Beast and the Isle of King now drops a blank Greater Ruin. This can be exchanged with Danny King's March for your Greater Ruins of your choosing from a selectable. So it's pretty cool for campaign. The Blind Beast no longer drops a Bile-Soaked Tome. Instead, the Dark Mist quest now grants Mist Shrouded Tome, which grants 2 weapon set passive skills. In addition to its existing rewards, Uncut Skill Gem and Gold. The Dark Mist quest now grants a Mist Shrouded Tome, so we get extra So we either get additional points or 2 points have been added for that now as well. That's dope. You can now open a town portal in Alros Arena after he has been defeated. Yeah, a lot of people got stuck on that, so you got stuck in there after you beat him. Colsys Lightning Barrage skill should no longer hit with known projectiles at blank range. Okay, so you should have less hit damage there. Interesting. UI interface changes. Some interfaces could not be panelled, now allow dual cursors, so players can interact with the UI at the same time. Sport gem compatibility of all equipped skills is now shown when hovering a sport gem in the gem cutting interface. On the waypoint world map, selecting underground locations for the overworld map will now immediately teleport you on the selected location. Instead of toggling the underground map view, added a quick search feature to the stat filters in Trade Market. Awesome, so trades become easier. Stackable items will no longer be merged into existing item stacks when clicking into item merchants tabs. Optimized search for in-game market browser. Your current rage is no longer displayed on your buff bar. Instead, there is now a rage meter next to the mana globe. The cursor size option has been changed to a slider. Added a new cursor tracking input option for keyboard and mouse users, which allows skills to continue updating their target location direction even after the skills input is released. This is particularly impactful for skills such as Rolling Slam, Whirlwind Assault, but affects a wide variety of skills. By default, this option is enabled in WASD mode and disabled in click and move mode. When switching between controller and keyboard in the character select screen, the game will remember if you use WASD or not. Dope. Refactored coach co-op player interfaces. Most player interfaces will now be panelled to minimize disruptions to improve the gameplay flow in towns. Both players can have different panelled interfaces open at the same time. Woo! We're almost there. We're almost there, Stream. Microtransaction changes. Let me just sip some more water. Okay. So we just got 2 more nodes to go through and we're done. The wardrobe hideout decoration now visually indicates and opens your wishlist page. When a microtransaction you've previously wishlisted is on sale, godlike. Enable the following existing rare finisher effect microtransactions to use the passive Exile. Acer lightning rare finisher effect, anchor drop rare finishing effect. Oh, so it's enabled it. A black hole rare finishing effect, black star meteor rare finishing effect, consuming tentacle rare finisher effect, dragonfire rare finishing effect, necrotic flames rare finisher effect, shark attack rare finisher effect, soulfight shatter rare finishing effect. Enable the existing cathedral armor set, dreadspin armor set, corsair hood, corsair helmet, abyss core armor set, abyss core town, abyss core crown, siren armor set, siren hood, harmonious armor set, gargoyle armor set, and Glimmerwood hat microtransaction for use in Path of Exile 2. Enable the existing Astral Onyx Oblivion weapon effect microtransaction. Enable the existing Stygian Ebony character effect. Enable the existing Hummingbird pet microtransaction. Enable the existing Gorgon Shield microtransaction. Enable the existing Celestial Wings and Jaeger. Enable the existing Lightning Footprint microtransaction. Enable the existing Celestial Tree hideout decoration in the game. And finally, folks, we are on the last one. Bug fixes. Fix the bug where the effects spread and ignite were incorrectly just inflicting a single hit's worth of flammability when it tried to spread, only igniting if flammability was high enough at that time. Fixed an issue where lightning warp could remove corpses of reviving monsters. Oh, right. So you kill them and they could be revived, basically. Fixed a bug where Winds Dancer's Nova did not scale with the modifiers to area damage. Sounds right. Fixed a bug where Ravenous Swarm did not display correct active swarm. Fixed a bug where Electrocuting Arrow was unable to hit enemies that were too short. Fixed a bug where multiple copies of Thorn Skill or Thorn Skill 2 could be active at the same time. Fixed an issue that caused blood hunts, blood loss, consumption, explosion, sometimes deals the incorrect amount of damage. Fixed an issue where the visuals for Ice Number weren't always matching the area which is hit. Fixed a bug where Smith the Kitava's Manifest Spirit only do damage for the first half of its dash. The target was far away. Yeah, I read that in the other patch notes. Fixed Glory not generating while on the row amount. Fixed a bug where Glory generated from rare unique monster. Your presence generated Glory based on your current weapon set passives instead of each weapon set's passives. Fixed a bug where you charge staff did not have a lightning tag. Fixed an issue preventing living lightning sport from being able supported by certain gems. Yeah, I actually tried that in some and it wouldn't work, so fuck yeah. So that means we can do more tech with living lightning. Let's go. Fixed a bug where perfection was only granting more hit damage rather than all damage. Fixed an issue which would cause Dark Effigy to have a longer than intended delay for firing its first projectile after being raised if there was only one valid target. Fixed a bug where Batter Shout support wasn't working on Fortifying Cry nor Ancestral Cry. Fixed a bug where exposure applied by Oil Ground bypassed enemies and some defensive mechanics. Fixed a bug where Second Wind 3 wasn't working with Demon Form. The life restoration now occurs when Demon Form is on cooldown. Fixed a bug where Inhibitor support was granting more damage per infusion rather than infusion type. Fixed a bug where Unleash could not spawn on Earth. Fixed a bug that occurred with Heat Shiver and some similar modifiers where an enemy can be affected by multiple chills at the same time. Fixed a bug where Blasphemy did not display its icon while you have a show aura icons in the options menu. Fixed Ancestry boosted slams not showing up when the MTX are applied. Fixed an issue where Control Metamorphosis unique jewel could have its mod rages roll behind the high values to determine the radius. This will not fix jewels where it is already broken, but prevent this from happening with any new rolls on the item. Fixed an issue where quest soul calls were not removed from the player when using the ultimate encounter. Fixed a bug where gaining charges over time for life flasks or mana flasks would not fill both flasks when using the Wastegate unique. That was a bugged belt as well. Yep. So basically with the Wastegate, fixed a bug where gaining charges over time for life flasks or mana flasks would not fill both flasks when using the Wastegate unique belt, which was bugged, with 2 life flasks or mana flasks equipped respectively. So the Wastegate unique belt's going to be fixed basically. Fixed Wakapanu Island, Isle of Kin, Abandoned Prison, Treasure Map Fragment, world markers to not appear for the area before you reach the area. So game and the campaign is going to become easier to do and you won't have to go too much travelling for nonsense. So it should be a lot more linear and you should be able to speedrun the campaign a lot better now as well. Fixed an issue that would cause the bosses in Kuchakit Vault were defeated this time as soon as they became damageable. Yep, so that's good. Fixed a bug where Heavy Stunning Crew Tug Lord of the Kin from behind would fail to play Heavy Stun animation. Fixed the Nameless Seer not automatically closing his shop after you take a unique item from him. Fixed the issue where character models could fail to display character select screen. Fixed an Iron Count saying nothing on the sorceress in character creation scene. Fixed an issue where Coach Co-op games was starting with player 2 as party leader. Fixed the couch co-op bug causing issues with the Horn of Asteri. Fixed the couch co-op issue with Caravan for not stopping, exit remaining close. And finally, we are here, end game of the patch notes. Fixed various client crashes. We really hope you enjoy Path of Exile 2, Last of the Druids. Thank you for your support. Woo! I think I need a break. Friggin' hell. So yeah, basically those are all the patch notes. I will get those uploaded on my YouTube channel so you can listen to it like a podcast in the background if you want to go through everything. But as far as like, I've already given like my abbreviations of what's been buffed, what's been nerfed. But overall, 90% like I said has been buffed, 10% has been nerfed. Been a few changes to some builds. Think Blood Mage, Spark, Arc, even down to Comet. Life regen builds are going to be hit hard with the changes. You're losing crit, so they definitely been nerfed 100%. However, I did some tech, so I worked around that and I was good anyway. So it doesn't make no difference to me. So I'll see what I can cook up with those. And then obviously some builds have been buffed, and then other skills have been nerfed down 1 or 2. So there's definitely a lot of changes, a lot of balance changes. But like I said, I'm going for Druid anyway, and I've got some tech for that. So I'm hyped. So overall patch notes, those are the changes. Those things are going to have changed too. That's everything covered.